Hello, I am going to explain my video number 4 for the lesson plan number 4. The informative data, school name, it does not apply. The theme for this lesson, countable and uncountable nouns. The date, November 10th, 2020. Grade 1st, baccalaureate. Class length, 45 minutes. Proficiency level, elementary 8.2.2, CEFR. The lesson plan designer, Laura Salazar, that is me. The TEFL objectives, by the end of these lessons, the students will be able to, for listening, identify and follow instructions, as well as understanding a conversation about the food they like and don't like. For speaking, use a lexical set of foods correctly. For reading, recognize countable and uncountable nouns from the reading. For writing, construct their own answers to different questions using countable and uncountable nouns. The methods that I use for this lesson plan is audiolingual method, total physical response, direct method, and task-based language learning. The strategies that I use: set realistic expectations and goals, visual and manipulative, speak slowly, use differentiation, whole class work, pair work, and individual work. The anticipatory set, I will show students the Baroque Market, that is a famous market in London, England. It is one of the largest and oldest food markets in London. Teacher talks about this market history and time, its architecture, and what they sell in this place. Here I am going to show students a picture of Baroque Market so they can be a little bit more familiarized. For the main teaching input, for the warm-up activity, teacher will ask students what they usually have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So they're going to have a little conversation about what they usually have for these 3 things. Then teacher shows students how countable and uncountable nouns work. Teacher will write 4 nouns on the board and ask students which 2 words have plural ending. So for example, the teacher will write these 2 things on the board, and students need to tell the teacher which one of these has a plural ending. 1 vegetable or 2 vegetables. That in this case is going to be the 2 vegetables. Then the teacher will draw a table on the board with 2 rows. I have one on the left that is for the countable nouns, and one on the right that will be for the uncountable nouns, that like the one that I am showing you here. A teacher will ask to complete the table with different words that the teacher wrote on the board. These are going to be the words that I will write on the board, and students need to complete this table, putting these different words where they correspond. So for example, vegetables are going to be where they need to be. They're going to be what? Countable or uncountable nouns. They need to put vegetables, fruit, chocolate, tomatoes, cheese, where each word corresponds. A teacher will check answers by asking students to come up to the board and complete the table. So the teacher will ask different students to come up to the board and write the word where it corresponds. Teacher puts students into pairs to talk about the food they like and don't like. A teacher walks around monitoring that students don't add an S to uncountable nouns. So she is not going to interrupt the fluency of the conversation unless the teacher listens that someone is adding an S to uncountable nouns. Then she's going to get into the conversation and try to explain why that is wrong. Then teacher will give a reading to students. They need to read the text and match them with the pictures and underline countable and uncountable nouns. So for example, here you have 3 things and you have 3 pictures. So students need to match. For example, cook as you shop. Which of these pictures will match with this? Fresh Italian food. Which of these pictures match with fresh Italian food? for food and history, which of these pictures correspond to that. And then they need to underline countable and uncountable nouns from the reading. Teacher and students check the answers as a class. Then teacher gives students a worksheet to complete countable and uncountable nouns, a, and, some, and, any. So for the first part, are these things countable or uncountable? So they are going to use a C for countable nouns or an U for uncountable nouns. For the second part, complete the conversation between a customer and a shop assistant with a, and, some, or any. In the gaps, they need to put the correct word that goes there. And for the last part, correct one mistake in each sentence. Each of these sentences has one mistake, so they need to see which is the mistake and correct it in the lines in here, writing the correct sentence. Teacher walks around checking students' understanding and assisting students when necessary. Teacher and students check the answers, asking students to explain their answers. Teacher writes some questions on the board and tells the student to answer those questions with complete sentences on their notebooks. The questions that the teacher will put on the board will be, are there any markets near your house? What do they sell? Where do you prefer shopping for food, in a market or a supermarket? And why? So they need to write complete sentences on their notebooks. Teacher will monitor and help the students with vocabulary. When they finish this, teacher will put the students into pairs so they can talk about their answers. Teacher walks around monitoring, correcting countable and uncountable nouns. Teacher and students conclude the class by reviewing the topic briefly. For modeling, the examples teacher gives at the beginning of the class and the answers to the exercise will provide students with clear contextualized models, which will show the student correct form and examples of use in context. This is very important because the teacher will model and will show exactly how each activity should be done and giving the students after they do the activity, compare and see if they are wrong or if they are right. In the guided practice, the students complete the table with different words. Students talk about the food they like and don't like. Students read the text and match them with the correct picture. Students complete a worksheet of countable and uncountable nouns, where students need to identify countable and uncountable nouns, complete the conversation, and correct mistakes in sentences. For all of these guided activities, teacher walks around the class to monitor at the end of each activity. They check the answers with the whole group. For the independent practice, students answer some questions with complete sentences on their notebooks. The sentences should include countable and uncountable nouns. Then, when they finish, in pairs, students need to talk about their answers. For the assessment, teacher will show different pictures to students, and they need to classify the vocabulary as countable or uncountable nouns. Students raise their hands to participate. So students will use these pictures that I have over here to show the students, like the chicken, the grapes, the lemons, the meat, the onion. And they need to classify where these are going to be, if they are going to be countable or they are going to be uncountable nouns. That way, the teacher will see if the students understand the lesson or not. If they don't understand something, they can ask questions in this part, and she can also review a little bit more if they need to, if something is not clear. And for the closer review and follow-up, the class will be concluded by reviewing the topic briefly. And for homework, students need to make 4 questions and answers using countable and uncountable nouns. Thank you very much. That will be all for this video.